Hello everyone, and welcome to another Stat385 video. In this video, we'll just be welcoming everybody to week 5. And so in this web page will be called Logic and Control Flow, and in it we are going to discuss if-else statements, just sort of like conditional execution, where, so far in this class we have a sequence of coding instructions, and we just run them one after another, and everything just runs. And we can control the flow of how things are executed by whether or not they satisfy certain conditions, which we'll cover with if-else statements. And then we'll also cover iteration, in which like a task will be repeated, say, multiple times. So familiar concept that usually invokes familiar concept of a for loop, or a similar type of loop that you may have seen before in another programming class. We will also introduce apply statements, mostly lapply, which will perform a task of instructions on each element of a vector or a list. And that'll make more sense when you see the video. It's a much more convenient way for programming, and most, but not all, for loop tasks can be solved using apply statements, and they are easier to write, more concise, and easier to read, and they're just flat out easier. However, of course, it won't seem that way at first, since you will be introduced to these statements. So I maintain that it is worth the time, especially if you're going to be a statistician or a data scientist, or in some related space where you use R as a programming language moving forward. Then these concepts will be absolutely critical and very useful for writing efficient and fast code. Okay, so we have, as I'm sort of scrolling down, we have our lots of videos. Some are shorter than others, and we end with a instructional video on going through lab 4, which I think is a pretty interesting lab, demonstrating the usefulness of apply statements and for loops and conditional execution. Okay, and assignments are due. There's a lab and a quiz due this week, and then of course the material for next week is posted. And this reminds me that we are approaching, but not yet arrived, at our first exam. So I want to remind everybody to read the exam policy statement. There's a lot of information here, so read it over carefully. You have time to do it. Go slow and digest it, and read this stuff as well. So for instance, our exam will be implemented via Prairie Test, which is inside the Prairie Learn sort of world. But to sign in, we'll be using Zoom via single sign-on, using Illinois NetID and password. It's very similar to what we are doing in office hours, so you may want to just show up in office hours just for a little bit, just to test this out, so you can get some comfortability with it before exam time. But if regardless, there's instructions for how to do it. So exam policy, read it over, and yeah. Okay, so welcome to week 5. Oh, looks like I need to compile the full website. Welcome to week 5, and we are now getting into some really cool R concepts. So I will see you later in the videos. All right, bye.